Now, say my name.
Name's Bonzu! Pippin Pedalopsicopolis the Third!
You're goddamn right.
Avatar the Last Airbender might be considered my favorite show of all time. It's a phenomenal show with a phenomenal story, phenomenal characters, a phenomenal movie, comic books. Phenomenal comic books. I love this show, and I truly do believe it deserves a lot better than what it's got recently. Avatar the Last Airbender is a beautiful show that debuted in 2005 and went on for 3 wonderful seasons. The story follows an airbender named Aang and his trek to defeat the Fire Lord. But to do so, he needs to master all 4 elements: water, earth, fire, air. You know the drill. This show has tight writing and even tighter character development. It's no surprise that 18 years after its debut, it's just as popular as ever. Getting a revival from Netflix, a new live-action adaptation, and most importantly, a new Avatar Studios with the original showrunners is a huge blessing for me, an Avatar fan. The shows, the comics, and the novels are fan favorites, and they do great things to elevate the lore of this bending universe. And right when I thought things couldn't get better for this series, I was super surprised and super shocked to see this on YouTube. Avatar the Last Airbender: The Quest for Balance. I stopped everything I was doing and eagerly clicked on this video, expecting great things from a new Avatar game. Well, yikes. Yes, I know graphics aren't everything, but not having it is. This looks like a game that came straight out of the PlayStation 2, and I say that because we actually did have games from the PS2 that looked pretty similar to this. Avatar the Last Airbender for the DS, Burning Earth and Into the Inferno on the Wii and PS2, these were games I played religiously when I was younger. The first one created an entirely original story with characters from Book 1 of Avatar. Burning Earth and Into the Inferno took the more traditional route and replayed moments from Book 2 and Book 3 respectively, by playing through various missions. All 3 of these games were great fun, and they're pretty much on par with the recently released Avatar the Last Airbender: Quest for Balance. So why am I so upset about this? Well, because the other games I mentioned released 15 years ago. I get it. Avatar the Last Airbender is a kids show and therefore deserves kids games. First of all, how dare you? Second of all, looking at games like Ratchet & Clank and SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated or The Cosmic Shake, these are games marketed towards fans and is generally considered more towards the younger folk. But these games have so much more attention to detail than The Quest for Balance. Not to mention, Nickelodeon signed off on a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game based on the Last Ronin story, and from all rumors, this game is going to be pretty similar to the gameplay of 2018's God of War. I don't get why Nickelodeon can't give Avatar the Last Airbender the same treatment, especially considering fans of this series range from a wide variety of generations. And due to the age of the series, most of the original fanbase are like me, adults. At least, I try to be. I love Avatar, and I truly believe they deserve better treatment outside of the shows. But enough talk, let's take a look at the game. I know student loan payments are coming back, so what better way to save my money than by spending $50 on this game? I'll try to be as partial as I can, and I'm also not a game reviewer, so take my opinion with a grain of salt. But let's get into it. Okay, I don't hate this art style. It looks just like the comic books, which I can get behind, but these weird little motions that these characters are doing make the game do feel a bit cheap. And the game does start out with this director proclaiming that she's putting together a play about the story of Aang and his friends, and then she has the audacity to proclaim that Ember Island Player's version is not good. Alright, first of all, how dare you? Second of all, this allows us to have Iroh, Boomy, and Paku, or should I say Gramp Gramp, to be the narrators of the game as we replay the events from the show. One of the first few things I saw from the trailer were the graphics and the stiff animation, and I have to say that looking at it now, I don't hate it. It doesn't look good, obviously, for a game that's released in 2023, but if they polished it a bit more and added a bit more detail and obviously had a lot more time to work on it, I don't think it would have been that bad. It also doesn't help that I'm currently playing through the new 2.0 update and the Phantom Liberty expansion of Cyberpunk 2077, which is an insanely gorgeous game, so going from that to this is quite the shock. But despite the shallow presentation, I'm quite excited to play this game. I loved the games from the Wii and the PS2, and I thought that this would be a similar experience. After all, this game features all 3 books in one game, and I could get behind that. What I can't get behind, however, is this stiff animation. The combat feels so unintuitive that I find myself fighting against the controls most of the time. From what I played, it seems like this game is pretty much a collection of simple puzzles, basic fight sequences, bending challenges which are just more puzzles, and then a Subway Surfer minigame. I would say that this is pretty random, but looking back at the Legend of Korra game that came out in 2014, it also had this minigame, so I guess points for consistency. At least the Korra game had great combat and good voice acting and cutscenes. This game has none of that. The part that shows how rushed this game is that, look at this. This cutscene is animated, although it's edited very weirdly. But this shows that they tried to animate some cutscenes, but ultimately couldn't, so it just feels like it was too rushed and they just have some random cutscenes here and there. Not to mention with the narration, they just gloss over some entire episodes like nothing. The boss battles are also something else. From the few hours I've played, I already fought Zuko 3 times, and they're all pretty much the same battle with a slight variation each time. But the main gist of it is this. You kind of just dodge these red lines on the ground until he does his ultimate move, and then you attack, and then rinse and repeat. And that's pretty much it. Even the fight against Heibai is pretty much just waiting for his laser, and then you do this minigame with the box, and then you rinse and repeat again. I think I've played enough, and although I think this game is quite bad, there is still some, or maybe the better word is little, enjoyment to be had, which makes me super sad. Imagine how much more enjoyable this game would have been if it was actually good, and if they did the story of Avatar more justice. Overall, I think this game leaves a lot to be desired. It's pretty tough to recommend, especially as a fan of Avatar. I don't think I can justify anyone spending $50 on this game. Maybe for $10, maybe $15 if you want to push it, but this game is not worth it for $50. Also, the game is only 18 chapters from what I've read, and that seems way too low for a game trying to cover 61 episodes of a show. Now I see why they just brush over iconic moments with this narration. I would hope that this game would be better than the older ones, but I feel like the older games might be better, which is a crazy thing to say. Let me take a look at the PS2 version of Avatar the Last Airbender Burning Earth, and let's kinda see where we came from. Oh, already I can tell that this was made with more love for the series. Look at this cutscene. It's already so much better than what we got for Quest for Balance. The combat actually works well, and honestly the game feels more fleshed out, and I'm kind of digging it. I feel like I'm more invested in this game than anything I did when playing Quest for Balance. Something about this game just makes me kind of happy, and it's probably that it's just the nostalgia talking, but there is also a bit of quality with this game. It's definitely a nice trip down memory lane. I'm playing a bit more than I was expecting to, but that kind of just shows how well this game holds up, and there's a certain charm to it. But yeah, after this level, I'm gonna try to take a look at Into the Inferno on the PS2 as well. From the get-go, I can definitely say that this game looks a lot better than Burning Earth, and there's a pretty cool neat trick with the bending here where you control it with the right analog stick. However, I think that this might be better on the Wii, as it would be probably a bit more intuitive using a Wiimote, but yeah, it's still a good game, I really enjoy it. But you can see right here I'm struggling with the combat because it's just not working that well. Yeah, I definitely would want to play this on the Wii instead of a PS2. And finally, I want to take a look at Legend of Korra by Platinum Games. This game is a game that I wish was a lot longer. They had a good thing going on in terms of presentation and combat, but ultimately it was just too short of a game. I mean, take a look at how good this game looks, and the combat is so fluid. The game sadly is no longer available for purchase on Steam, but luckily I had this in my library from when I got it in 2014, I think. And since Steam is great at cloud saving, I still have my completed save, and I might just be a tad bit overpowered for this level. But look at how good this game looks and plays. They made it very easy and fun to switch between the bending, kind of similar to Final Fantasy XVI, where you can switch between your icon abilities. And just look at the cutscenes, they're fully animated like the show, and the voice acting is great, and it just looks so like high quality. Oh, and here we go again with that Subway Surfer minigame, just like in Quest for Balance. However, in this one, it's probably a bit more fun because it's faster paced, but it's still pretty much the same thing. Honestly, what saddens me is that this game could have been so much better. It's ultimately held back to its short length and the lackluster story, but the gameplay is fun, and I guess that's all you can ask for. As I've already mentioned before, Avatar the Last Airbender is one of my favorite series from my childhood, and I'm really happy it's coming back with new live action stuff, a new studio with hopefully new movies and shows. I just wish Avatar had great games as well. I don't even need an open world game where anyone can choose their own bending and stuff like that. I just want a good game that covers all 3 books, kind of has the combat and fluidity of the Korra game, with maybe the charm of the PS2 games. I don't know. Nickelodeon, please make it happen. But yeah, that's enough for this video. What kind of Avatar game would you prefer? Have you played Avatar the Last Airbender Quest for Balance? If so, what did you think about it? Please like, comment, and subscribe, and hope to see you all again for my next video. Thank you.